On December 10, 1951, during the Cold War, President Harry Truman instated CONORAD, or Control of Electromagnetic Radiation. This was a system that would have been used to warn Americans in the event of an attack from the Soviet Union.
Public warning systems in America, from all four generations of warning systems, show that FEMA's programs to protect life and property is a frontier still emerging, with plenty more to work on. Conrad was intended to make sure enemy bombers cannot lock on to a radio station and use it to pinpoint location. Commonly known as the EBS stress test, stations would turn on and off their transmitters in a round-robin fashion. Stations that could not handle this would send a message to their listeners, then turn off their transmitters. Stations would transmit on either 6:40 a.m. or 12:40 a.m. kilocycles on the radio. Beginning in 1953 and ending in 1963, all radios produced required a CD shield on 640 and 1240.
Switching the transmitters on and off would damage the transmitters, giving it the name EBS stress test because when it was tested, many would fail. Lightning storms would often trigger false alarms. On November 5th, 1959, northern Michigan and northeastern Minnesota CONORAD department played the tape that was supposed to be the test tape, but it ended up being the attack tape. All stations monitoring this one went in accordance with the procedure, although there wasn't enough time to switch to 640 and 1240.
Conrad was a frontier in that maybe it was never used, but was there when you needed it to be. It brought forth the idea of public safety. Conrad could only be used in the case of attack, so Civil Defense brought forth the idea to upgrade the system to allow local alerts. Conrad then brought forth the EBS. The Emergency Broadcast System, or EBS, could connect the president to the people in the case of an attack. Unlike Conrad, however, the EBS could share local emergencies such as weather and other local emergencies. The broadcast station would interrupt programming and say this line.
We interrupt this program because of unusual weather conditions in this area. Important information will follow this tone.
Followed by the double tone of swine waves 853 and 960 Hz. If it was a weather warning, the National Weather Service would call the broadcast station, have the message recorded, then the broadcaster would play the recording after the tone. If it was a different emergency, they would read the situation live. If it was a presidential emergency, the broadcaster would connect to the president when he was ready. One example of the EBS being used with current events at the time was when it was used during the 1992 riots in LA. Many stations would use jingles when they tested their system, so viewers wouldn't be scared. This was soon discontinued because it would make real alerts look like less action needed to be taken. On Saturday, February 20th, 1971, teletype operator Waylon S. Eberhard was in charge of running the weekly tests for the EBS. He had 3 tapes laid out in front of him. One was a test tape, and 2 were the warning tapes. Eberhard, a 15-year veteran of the teletype, inserted the wrong tape. He is quoted saying, "I can't imagine how the hell I did it." Many stations received a teletype and did different things. Chuck Kelly went in accordance to protocol, which was to shut down the station. He was quoted saying, "I saw the authenticated message and thought, my god, it's December 7th, 1941 all over again." The alert was sent at 9:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and wasn't cancelled until 10:33 a.m. because the wrong code word was being sent to cancel the message. This situation showed that the system was a frontier that had to be explored more. Some stations stayed on the air because the message was sent during practice time. This raised concerns on how reliable the system was. What if it was a real threat? Would they ignore it because it was around the time the practice message was being sent? The situation was concerning to all who were listening. The emergency broadcast system, with its 20,000 activations, was a frontier that now could allow for local alerts to be played. Speaking of local alerts, Local access alerts are a simplified version of the EBS. Local access alerts would work by officials dialing into a broadcast area, saying their message, then dialing out. Many times, people would hang up and not dial out, so the screen would stay dark. If someone dialed in the wrong area, like in this example where Japanese officials dialed into American television, the wrong message would be sent.
This is the 18th Wing Command Post. As of 1500.
These alerts are shown to cause anxiety in children and young teens. Local access alerts were mainly used in the late 90s to early 2000s and are still used today in areas that cannot afford to upgrade to the Emergency Alert System. The Emergency Alert System, or EAS, is an automated version of the EBS. Now, broadcasters wouldn't need someone there 24/7, but all messages could be sent automatically. Instead of people monitoring other stations, machines would monitor noises that sound like this. These are carrying information, but it's being sent so fast to a human ear, it just sounds like buzzing. The codes look like this. ZC, ZC, and ORG are set by the machine. EEE is the event code, what's happening. PSSCCC is the area affected. TTTT is how long the alert will last, not how long the situation will last. JJJHHMM is the time and day it was sent, and the L's is the place that sent it, for example, a nuclear power plant or the National Weather Service. Culturally, you can search for EAS and find a lot of scenarios. These are videos people have made to scare others.
The EAS is very prone to be hacked. A common one is when the
The EAS was a frontier, and now the whole system was automated. At this point, there was a lot of different ways of warning people. Now, we needed it under one umbrella. IPAWS, our Integrated Public Alert and Warning System, combines all current warning systems such as the EAS, wireless emergency alerts, NOAA weather radio, internet services, and other forms of alerting people. Executive Order 13407 was signed by President George W. Bush in 2006. Wireless emergency alerts under IPAWS was used to alert citizens during the Boston Marathon bombing. It sent information about the bomber's identity and what to do if you saw him.
On the morning of January 13, 2018, a ballistic missile inbound alert was sent to Hawaii via wireless emergency alerts and the EAS. The man who sent the alert was on the phone with the alert administrator, and when he switched to speakerphone, the "this is an exercise" part was cut out. The administrator added the script to the test saying, quote, "This is not a drill." The man who sent the alarm has since received numerous death threats.
All in all, thanks to Civil Defense and FEMA, CONORAD, the EBS, EAS, and IPAWS was the idea that saved life and property. Part of a frontier is to explore that, and that is shown with all four, all an improvement of the last. CONORAD was a trailblazer. EBS and EAS are the middlemen, and IPAWS is the one currently exploring. They may be annoying, but they save lives.